Carey Mae Parker was a 23-year-old single mother of 3 at the time of her disappearance in 1991. She had just broken up with her boyfriend and father of her children. The relationship was not good, and he had reportedly threatened her after the breakup. She was living with friends in Quinlan, Texas, and was working night shifts for an air conditioner company in Terrell. Because of these work hours, she could not care for her 3 children, Mandy, Brandy, and Brian, who were all under the age of 6. 2 of her children lived with her parents, while the 3rd lived with his father, and she saw them as much as she could. Carey was last seen by her family 3 days before her son Brian's birthday. She told him that she would be leaving for a few days and would be back in time for his birthday party, but she never arrived. After her not showing up to her own son's party that she had planned, and then not hearing from Carey in days, Carey's father told his then friend, who was a police constable, and he promised to file a report and follow up on her disappearance. But he never did. Months later, with still no word from Carey or the police, her sister Patricia then filed an official missing persons report herself. 19 years later, in 2010, after never hearing anything from police, Patricia called to follow up on her sister's case. It was then that she was informed that there was no such missing persons report for her sister. She later found out that when she did file a missing persons report, the police at the time noted it as a welfare check, not a missing person. But even so, the welfare check never took place. Patricia then called family and Carey's daughter Brandy, who was now 32, and she filed another missing persons report. But as it had now been 19 years since Carey's disappearance, the police had no leads, no crime scene, and nowhere to start, so the case was cold and stayed that way for several years. It's unclear how the 2 missing person reports made by the family were never taken as such and never looked into, leaving a family without answers for decades. Unfortunately for Carey's father, he passed away in 2015, still without answers on what happened to his daughter. Introducing AWP, Adventures with Purpose. AWP are a YouTube channel where a group of divers help preserve the environment by removing property, mainly cars, from riverbeds. They have also assisted in several search and recoveries of missing people last seen in their cars found in bodies of water. They have helped solve many cold cases and bring families closure, and they do this all for free. AWP found out about Carey's case in February 2021. They drove to Quinlan, Texas, spoke with her family, and then began their search on Lake Tawakoni. They were searching the water along the White Point Causeway when on their sonar they found what they believed to be a car.
Can't tell if this is a car or if we have... I have a car there. Yeah, we also have a memorial. I wonder if they left the car in there. Let's go check that out.
Should we see if those balloons are tied there? Do you think they're tied, or they just coincidentally fell there? Oh!
As if in a movie, when they discovered what they believed to be a car in the water, they looked over at the road and saw birthday balloons tangled in the guardrail, as if Carey was showing them where she was.
And they're happy birthday balloons.
They dove down, but they didn't have good visibility and couldn't locate any number plates, so they ripped off some car parts, and upon showing these to the family, they discovered that it matched the description of the car that Carey drove and was last seen in.
The sheriff, you want me to call him?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to be the one to do it.
Okay, let me call the sheriff, okay? That car's just pulling apart, Dan.
only some of the car was retrieved and searched, and the VIN number was able to be checked. The car was now confirmed to be Careys. AWP were disappointed that they didn't locate her body, but assumed it would likely have fallen out during the removal and disintegration of the car. They left the town, and the remaining recovery of the car was left to the local police, and AWP went on to other areas in the country to join other rescue and recoveries. DPS was meant to do a forensic search weeks after the car was pulled in February. They only spent 2 hours in the water, which according to AWP was not nearly enough time to do a proper search and set a perimeter. AWP learned of this and was disappointed in their lackluster efforts, and the family still had no closure, with her body still not having been found. Adventures with Purpose returned in October and spent 2 days creating a search perimeter. During the search, they recovered items belonging to Carey in and around the debris of the car. These items were kids' toys and clothing, and a new BMX bike, which likely was the present that Carey was going to give to her son Brian.
Going to, your mom was coming to your birthday party, either that day or that evening or the next day, and she had a bicycle for you in the trunk of her car that we found yesterday for you. And I don't know if you want to go into that right now or not, or you just want to, that's just a personal story for you, or if you want to expand more on that right now.
There's a lot that I still have to unpack there. So
And can I add something else to that real quick? The not just the bike, but so you gave us a lot more than just the remains and just the closure, and like with not just with the remains that you brought up, but the content of her car. We don't have, we have 30-year-old memories, at least for us kids, that were memories that we had of her when we were very, very young. I was 5, Brian was 6, Mandy was barely 3, not even 3 yet. She was 2. And so Mandy has no memories. And I know, I can't even imagine what my own sister, what that must be like for her. But not just getting answers of how she died brings us a sense of closure. Also, the things that you brought up from her car, the contents of her car tells a lot about who she was and what was important to her, the bicycle, the children's clothes, the pair of pants that were either mine or Brian's based on the size. I'm guessing they were probably mine because she probably wasn't putting bell bottoms on my brother, but who knows? But and the toys, the toy car that y'all brought up, all of those things, they tell us a story of the caring mother that she was. They were remnants of. This was my children's mess. This was as a mom, we know our kids leave messes in our cars, and we get frustrated at those kids' messes, but we tolerate them with love because they're reminders of them, and to see those things, that also brings a sense of relief when we don't have those memories of her that are very strong or that they're faded. They tell us that she was a good mother and that we were important to her too.
Then on October 17th, 2021, 30 years after her disappearance, AWP located Carey Mae Parker's remains in the water. Her now grown children and remaining family can now finally grieve the loss of the loved mother, sister, and friend. Brian finally knows why his mother never came to his birthday party over 30 years ago.